If you're watching this program, you might be an extremist. Reports of trouble in Islamic paradise, and astronomers are searching for something in space that could be headed this way. This is SkyWatchTV for Thursday, March 3rd, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. First up, the battle for Mosul is on. The city in northern Iraq has been under control of the Islamic State since June of 2014. Defense Secretary Ash Carter said Monday that multinational forces have surrounded the city, cutting off supply and communications lines, getting ready for the assault. Now, U.S. Special Forces are in the area, and while we know that they're directing fire from the air, carrying out missions against high-value targets like taking out ISIS leaders, rescuing hostages, and so forth, the Defense Department isn't issuing any specifics about their activities. It's believed that retaking Mosul from the Islamic State would cripple ISIS in Iraq. Now, having said that, we also know that the Defense Department is still investigating cooked intelligence that was passed from CENTCOM headquarters up to the White House, making it appear as though the fight against ISIS was going a lot better than it actually has been the last year and a half. Now, while American soldiers are taking part in the Battle of Mosul, Iraqi leaders apparently don't want them to help too much. Secretary Carter told reporters Monday that the government in Baghdad turned down an offer of American attack helicopters. Iraqi officials are under pressure from hardline Shiite politicians and Iran not to lean too heavily on American support. They figured that any help we're giving is coming with steel cables attached to it. So it appears that the Apache helicopters are a little too high-profile American for those Shiite officials. And speaking of the city of Mosul, the U.S. government is warning again that the aging dam on the River Tigris at Mosul is in danger of collapse soon. The American embassy in Baghdad warning Iraqis that as many as 1.5 million people could be drowned if the dam gives way. And the spring rainy season is coming. Some models show that the city of Mosul could be under 70 feet of water in less than 4 hours of a breach. Maintenance on the dam stopped in 2014 when ISIS took the city from the Kurds. The bigger problem, though, is that when the dam was built back in 1984, it was put on a base of gypsum. If you're familiar, that's the stuff in drywall. And you probably know that gypsum is water soluble, not recommended for dams. ISIS suicide bombers struck again Monday, third time in recent days in Iraq, this time in Anbar province west of Baghdad. 4 terrorists got inside an Iraqi army barracks, killed 6 soldiers, including a general. But there appears to be some dissension in the ranks of the Islamic State. A report coming out of the Islamic State's headquarters in Raqqa, which is on the Euphrates River in northeast Syria, indicates that there may be a split between the native-born troops, or the Iraqi members of the Islamic State, and foreign volunteers who've traveled there to participate in jihad. ISIS officials reportedly executed 8 Dutch-born fighters of Moroccan ancestry last Friday after a series of events escalating violence, tit for tat, which started when a Dutch fighter was accused of helping several members of the Islamic State escape. All is not well in paradise. There are about 75 fighters from Holland there in Raqqa. This gentleman who was brought in for questioning apparently died under the enhanced interrogation methods that were used. Well, a security officer from the Islamic State went to talk to the Dutch fighters to try to smooth things over. He was immediately attacked and beaten to death. So the entire group of Dutch volunteers was rounded up after a firefight on the streets of Raqqa. 8 of them executed, buried in the mountains south of Raqqa. Palestinians asking why Hamas executed one of its own commanders last month. We told you about this a couple of weeks ago. A group of fighters from the Al-Qassam brigades quit after leader Mahmoud Ishtiwi was killed by Hamas leadership. Now, Ishtiwi was accused of being a spy for Israel, but he comes from a family of loyal Hamas volunteers who was responsible during the 2014 war with Israel for commanding 1,000 men and a group of tunnels that led from the Gaza Strip into Israel. Well, apparently, Ishtiwi admitted under questioning to embezzling money from the Al-Qassam brigades, but because he admitted so quickly, his torturers thought maybe he was hiding an even bigger secret, which they discovered was his homosexuality. And for that, he got 3 bullets in the chest. Now, only partly, according to the New York Times, because of a violation of the Islamic moral code, but more so because Hamas leadership thought that the Mossad had found him out and might be blackmailing him, and maybe that's where the money was going. Ishtiwi's family says it wasn't any moral failing that led to his death, but a power struggle going on inside Hamas. And people in the Gaza Strip not very happy with Hamas leadership right now. The economy there is a disaster. Buildings that were damaged or destroyed during the 2014 war with the IDF still not cleaned up. An analyst who visited the area for Newsweek last week wrote that it wouldn't take very much to start a civil war in the Gaza Strip right now. And in Europe, things are getting tense as nations there are still trying to figure out how to deal with the refugee crisis. Several nations have closed their borders, forcing asylum seekers to go to desperate lengths, finding alternate routes through the Balkans in the winter. That's dangerous. On Monday, a group of 500 Syrian and Iraqi immigrants stormed a fence on the border between Greece and Macedonia. Macedonia recently closed its border to Afghan refugees, one of a group of 9 nations in the Balkans, plus Austria, that have said no more migrants. Well, this has left thousands of people with no place to go. It panicked the Syrians and the Iraqis in the crowd, afraid they wouldn't be able to get any further north, pulled a metal pole out of the ground and used it to open up a gap in the fence. Macedonian police used tear gas to disperse the crowd, which was estimated at about 8,000 people. Because of that decision by Austria and the 9 Balkan states, an estimated 50 to 70,000 asylum seekers are now stuck in Greece. They can't go north, they can't go home. But something's going to have to give. And in Germany, officials there admit they've lost track of 130,000 registered migrants out of the 1.1 million they allowed into the country last year. About 13% didn't show up to the reception centers where they were directed. Now, one government official trying to explain this to another lawmaker said that, well, they might have gone home, they might have gone on to another country, or they might have gone underground. They just don't know. And in fact, he said some of those 130,000 might be duplicate registrants, same person registered at different locations multiple times. You can understand why the population in Germany growing increasingly frustrated with the government of Angela Merkel. Well, a new survey shows that you might be an extremist and not even know it. In fact, if you're watching this program, it's probably a pretty good chance that your friends, neighbors, colleagues may consider you an extremist. A new survey by the Barna Group found that more than half of the non-religious people in America consider Christianity extreme, meaning real Christianity, people who actually try to live according to the tenets of the Bible, actually live according to your faith. Now, you can see by this chart on the screen that there's a pretty big gap between behavior that Christians or evangelical Christians consider extreme and behavior considered extreme by agnostics, skeptics, atheists, and so forth. See, this is another reason why I don't think this upcoming presidential election is going to turn the country around. It is clear, looking at this chart, that we Christians aren't even talking the same language as many of the people who live around us. The only way to change their behavior on hot-button social issues like same-sex marriage or abortion is to preach the gospel, give them the hope that we have in Christ Jesus with gentleness and respect. That's the biblical command anyway. Now, we could try to do it by taking over the government and forcing them to comply, using the power of the government to compel them to do things our way. And while that might sound like a good idea, and there are some days when I wish I could push a button and make it happen, that is what we call totalitarianism. God gave us all free will. Sadly, for many people, it means the free will to make really bad, wrong moral choices. And finally, a couple of things to give you something to think about in case you're having trouble sleeping at night. 5 Mexican states are on alert after radioactive iridium-192 was stolen Monday. Iridium-192 can cause burns, radiation poisoning, prolonged exposure can cause death, permanent injury, depending on the length of exposure. Now, it's possible that the guys who stole this were actually looking for something else and right about now getting a really nasty surprise. And speaking of surprise, astronomers are searching for a comet or something out there that could be responsible for an unexpected meteor shower over New Zealand on New Year's Eve, that is. Scientists around the world looking out for the parent body of those meteoroids. Now, obviously, scientists want to know what trajectory that parent body is taking. The meteor shower had never been seen before, had never been tracked on radar, which suggests that a new body has entered the solar system, as yet undetected. And we can already hear people uploading YouTube videos about Planet X. Well, prophecy. Things are coming that you should know about. The Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference this summer in Colorado Springs. It is sold out. However, there is a way for you to participate and hear the presentations. It will be live streamed to the internet a different way this year. They're going to stream presentations from 2 presentation rooms. And the conference presentations will be kept online for 45 days. So you've got 6 weeks from the date of the conference to go back, watch them again, invite people over to your house, have a viewing party perhaps. For more information and to sign up, log on to prophecywatchers.com. Coming up this weekend, 2 more opportunities for you to see a really good interview with Timothy Alberino, the director and expedition leader for the True Legends documentary series. That comes up on Saturday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Central Time on the Victory Television Network. That's in the Arkansas area, also the Memphis area, and coast to coast on the Christian Television Network. That's DirecTV Channel 376 and Dish Network Channel 267. Also Glory Star Satellite Channel 117. Christian Television Network, 7:30 p.m. Central Time Saturday night on SkyWatchTV. And of course, the program available on demand at the SkyWatchTV channel on Roku. And of course, you can help SkyWatchTV share the news of what's going on in the world around us with a click of the mouse. Click share, click like, click subscribe. Share the news with your social network, and when I post to the internet, it's here. Of course, my email address, always open for your comments, questions, and suggestions, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. Tomorrow, joined in studio by my favorite person in the world, my best friend, my wife, Sharon K. Gilbert, for Sci Friday. Until then, thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.
From the time she was little, Nita dreamed of horses. Every childhood fantasy rode on the back of a heroic white steed, coming to save the day.
I don't know how long I've had this love in my heart for horses. It's just always been there. And when we were little girls, my sister and I would play all day long. I was always the white horse and she was always the little pink pig.
Let's pretend Lightning and Rosie can fly.
But everything changed in a heartbeat. On December 9th, 1971, a tragic car accident claimed the life of my dad and my best friend and my little sister. And I wondered after that if there was anything left to believe in.
Move aside, let the ambulance through. Please move aside.
As a child of 13, I felt like I had lost practically everything. And I wondered, is this it? I mean, where do I go from here? I could not have imagined back then how God could use horses, of all things, to restore my faith and vision for the future.
Starting April 19th, get your copy of Nita Horn's inspirational new book, No Fences, and learn for the first time her amazing story of loss, survival, determination, and healing. How the vision and love God gave her for these beautiful and majestic animals eventually led to the 150-acre Whispering Ponies Ranch, a general retreat facility, as well as a premier training location that specializes in using and gifting therapeutic animals to benefit the hurting. Other care facilities, schools, and ministries across the nation.
When God puts something in your heart, it's there for a lifetime.